Hello, it's Abby. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, we're looking at ghost books. So these are my recommendations of books that feature ghosts going into the spooky season. If you would like to see my video about witches, check out this video in my link. So the first one that I'm going to talk about, I have two manga series. Summer Ghost, this is a complete series all in one, follows three teenagers who all want to go find the summer ghost. And the summer ghost is supposedly a woman who killed herself, and they want to go see her by setting off fireworks. It turns out all three of them have something in common, and that is that they're thinking about death. Not that they're all suicidal, but that they all have something that's connecting them to death in some way. And ultimately, the story is about friendship and finding value in life and doing the best that you can with the life that you're given. This is a good bridge from summer into fall because it is the summer ghost, but we have that spooky paranormal vibe. Also, it ends up being a mystery because the summer ghost did not actually kill herself, but instead was murdered. So if you are interested in murder mystery manga, definitely check this one out. The other one is kind of a hit or miss series for people. My husband loves this series. I am enjoying it, but it's definitely not my normal read. So Dandadan follows a girl and her newly made friend, and he believes in aliens and she believes in spirits. And so they challenge each other to go to a haunted place and to a place known for aliens, and they get themselves into all sorts of trouble. Turns out there are both ghosts and aliens, and so we start to meet a new cast of characters as we go through, and follow kind of their friendship that turns into maybe more than a friendship while they're up against these paranormal ghosts, aliens, etc. Definitely a strange series, but I think it's being turned into an anime soon, and an exciting one to check out if you like action, a little bit of romance, and just kind of quirky, funny humor. Check this one out. Next, I have a couple middle grade graphic novels. The first is Ghosts. Ghosts follows Katrina and her family, and they're moving to Northern California because her little sister Maya is sick. And Maya is fascinated by ghosts, wants to go on like the haunted tour of this town and stuff. But Katrina is just very worried about her sister, very worried about death because her sister's illness involves breathing, and she's afraid that her sister is going to die and doesn't want to kind of think about ghosts. But it's just a really nice coming of age story that also deals with grief, and then we have all of the ghosts that come in and out of the story. Just a really sweet exploration on life after death. Another middle grade graphic novel is Sheets, and Sheets follows Marjorie Glatt, who is 13, and she's pretty much running her family business at this point. They work in a laundromat, and she's responsible of taking care of it. Someone's trying to come into the community and buy up property, and the laundromat is one of the places that they want to buy and tear down and turn it into a spa, and she feels like she has all of this weight on her shoulders. And she is befriended by a ghost. So Wendell is a ghost. He was a boy who died young, and has not really come to grips with the fact that he's dead. And so he has come to her laundromat, and they get into a bunch of shenanigans and just kind of chaos. There are two more in this series that I have not read yet, but definitely check it out if you're looking for something cute but with a darker side, all of these having to do with death. The last graphic novel is Seance Tea Party. The illustrations in this are absolutely gorgeous. It follows Laura. She is a afraid about growing up. She doesn't want to lose her imagination and her creativity. She thinks growing up means you need to leave those things behind. But she befriends a ghost named Alexa, and Alexa is haunting her house. And Alexa died in high school, I believe, and Alexa has friends in the community, and one of them is this woman who, even though she's very old, has not gotten old. Like, her spirit is still young, and she encourages Laura to realize that she can bring her creative spirit and her want to see the world a particular way into adulthood, that growing up doesn't mean you have to change, and it doesn't mean you have to go it alone. So it's about creating friends, lasting friendships, and staying young at heart. So I would say this one is more YA than middle grade, just because of the idea of growing up, but is definitely a really cute one. And like I said, gorgeous illustrations. Moving into middle grade books, I have The Girl and the Ghost, which is a Malaysian folktale. And I read this as part of my Reading Around the World challenge. And it follows a young girl named Soraya. And Soraya lives with her grandmother, who is a witch. Her grandmother is very protective of her, has a lot of rules over her, but she's befriended by this ghost. And the ghost is named Pink, or she names the ghost Pink. And Pink and her become vast friends. They just go everywhere together, do everything together. Pink is really her only friend until a new girl moves into town, and we run into some complications of Pink being jealous and making life difficult. We also have a kind of background mystery of where Pink came from, why he's connected to Soraya, and just like what is the purpose of him being here, and why is her grandmother so protective of her. So this was a really cute story about a girl and a ghost who need to go through some ups and downs in their relationship to find who they truly are. Another middle grade is City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab, and this follows Cass and her ghost friend Jacob. And Cass had a near-death experience where she essentially died falling into icy water, but Jacob saved her, and somehow their souls kind of got tangled together. The interesting thing is that Cass's family write ghost stories where her mom believes in the paranormal and her dad writes about the history of things, and they are approached to do a television show for the two of them where they're going to go to different haunted places around the world. Their first stop is Edinburgh, and so Cass and Jacob, as well as another girl that they run into in Scotland, as well as a girl named Laura that they meet in Scotland, all team up to try to figure out what their purpose is, what powers that Cass has, her ability to go between worlds and things like that, and what she's supposed to be using those powers for. This is the first book in a series. It's the only book that I've read so far, but it is a really nice middle grade book, an easy read that has, I would say this is the spookiest of the books that I've suggested so far, as they encounter a lot of ghosts in Edinburgh, but just a really fun story. The last middle grade book is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman, and this follows Bod Owens, or Nobody Owens. So Bod doesn't really belong to the Owens. His family was murdered when he was a baby, and he kind of waddled down the hill to a graveyard, and the people of the graveyard accepted him as their own and kind of teach him the way of the graveyard and what it means to be dead, but he is a living boy, and so this story, Bod gets up to all sorts of mischief as he's trying to figure out what happened to his family, what his purpose in life is. He befriends a vampire, he runs into some ghouls, just a lot of fun. This book also has, or this version at least, has pictures throughout And it's just a lot of fun. I've read this book several times. One of them was the audiobook, which I strongly suggest as well because it brings all the characters to life. Just a really fun middle grade read. This one too does have some very dark things in it, typical of Neil Gaiman, so keep that in mind. If recommending it to a young person in your life, it might be one to read with them, but it's a lot of fun and a really good adventure. This one is a classic, everyone knows about it, but A Christmas Carol. This is good for bridging the gap between Halloween and Christmas, but the ghosts that he runs into, this is honestly, don't tell anybody, but the only Charles Dickens that I've read cover to cover. It's just a really nice story of second chances or third chances, fourth chances, whatever, of making your life worthwhile and helping other people. And so him being approached by these three ghosts on Christmas Eve enables Scrooge to re-examine his life and decide on a better path. So even though it seems like a weird read for Halloween, it is still a really great little funny ghost book. And the last suggestion I have is Ghostland, An American History and Haunted Places. And I'm about halfway through this at this point, but this story is not so much about ghosts, it is a nonfiction, but about places that are thought to be haunted and why we think things are haunted. So an example is Sarah Winchester and the Winchester Mansion, and these ideas that she had to build 24/7 or the ghosts were going to kill her as a punishment for the Winchester rifle kind of making the West and killing all the Native Americans, and that this actually is kind of our way of dealing with a woman who is independent and has no family. This idea of the guilt of westward expansion and all the people's lives that were ruined or taken during westward expansion. And just this whole idea of why we come up with the idea of ghosts. Another example being something like the Haunting of Hill House or the House of Usher, and going to these different places that are thought to be haunted but are actually just something that is the human experience, something that we need to come to terms with. We don't understand a life after death. We don't understand how to let go and deal with grief, and so ghosts are an easy way for us to process those things. So this is a really interesting nonfiction that looks at America, looks at our ghost stories, and then why we believe in the ghosts that we do. So those are my ghost recs. If you have any ghosty recs, you can leave them in the comments below. And next week we're going to be looking at haunted houses and Gothic literature. So I will see you in the next video.